So now that I have all of this, how's it going, rednecks? I'm out here getting ready to work on the Yukon again, and I know you guys are well and sick and tired of me just changing panels on it, but today we're going to be doing the door. But instead of just doing the door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and remove the trim off of this damaged door to see how easy it comes off. And I'm going to do that with a 30-pound test ring, somebody said that would work, and a heat gun. So what do you say we get set up over there by my buddy, and we'll see if we can get this piece of trim moved off without damaging the paint. And then we'll get that door on and do the same thing. And before I get too involved, I want to let you all know why I'm wearing sunglasses. Got some rough information. The old buddy here is not doing so good. If you've been watching the channel, you know I try to include him in every video, and this sadly could be his last one. So my eyes are pretty red. It's going to be tough, but whew, what do you say we get set up and we try to get that trim piece removed? So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I got some really cheap 30-pound test fish line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and start in this corner and see if I can get this top piece starting to tear off. Right now, if you take a look, it is on there pretty good. I can't hardly move it. So without any heat, it's sitting in the shade. It's actually pretty cold. We're going to try just fish string and see what it does. Well, I would say I only made it from there to about there, and the fish string already broke. So what I'm going to try and do now is that I got a little bit of a lip I can grab or get that piece of plastic under. I'm going to try and heat this up and see how easy I can make it move. My goal is to save this stuff in case anybody was trying to get a piece of this off a truck to put on another one, just so it's kind of a relatable video for that as well. But what do you say we try to heat this up and see how much easier it makes it? Well, that was rather unexpected. I barely started prying on this and the plastic all broke up. So I don't know if there's going to be any saving this, especially with how big of a footprint there is on these. It's going to take a lot to get these off, and I have a feeling if it broke that easy, the rest of it is not going to be that much stronger, and it's going to be really hard to get these off. So what do you say we go back to fish string again? We'll heat it up and try and heat it up with fish string. Well, that's surprising how fast this video went from saving this trim piece to me forcibly removing this chrome piece. But if you take a look now that I've exposed what we're dealing with, I have a piece of tape here that I'm trying to cut through, a piece of tape right here, and there's another piece of tape right here, as well as the door is concaved. So I'm trying to fight through 3 pieces of tape with my fish string, as well as I'm rubbing heavily on the door. So I don't know if the Yukon trim pieces are going to be all that savable. Now if you take a look at the Tahoe, it's a much shorter piece of trim. It doesn't go all the way down to here, and I'm guessing there's only a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here, making this way more manageable and easier to get off, but I think it's still going to be quite the struggle. What do you say we get back to the Yukon and try and tear the rest of it off? So now that I have all of this exposed, I can see what's going on, and I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to cut a little bit more with my fish string here, and then I'm going to take my heat gun down here and try and heat that up and see if I can just manually rip this the rest of the way off. Well, rednecks, as you can clearly see, what I said I was going to do and what I actually did were 2 different things, because this stuff is so brittle, as soon as I try to pull on it, it just tears off. And I'm going to show an example here. If I just take this stuff and slightly start to bend it, and I ain't even hardly trying, look at it, it just tears and breaks. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way you're going to be able to get this stuff off without breaking it. So what I'm going to do is the fish string seems to be working on this top layer right here. So I'm going to continue that as far as I can, and then we're going to try and deal with the other two layers. Well, as you can see, my idea changed quite a few times from the first idea to the next, and I ended up using this plastic tool with a little bit of heat in front. And the unfortunate thing is it leaves a lot of the tape on the door, where with sawing with the fish string, doesn't leave a whole lot. But this works way faster, and as far as I know, this is just an interior trim removal piece, so it's not ideal for this, but it's holding up to it. So what do you say we work on our next idea and see if we can get the rest of this trim off, and then we're going to buff and wax this door and make sure there's no scratches left behind, so when we put our new door on, we have an idea of what we're in for. Well, rednecks, that was a pain in the butt, and there's a lot of residue still on here, so that little 3M pinstriping or whatever tool is going to have its work cut out for it. Before we do any of that though, I want to get the Yukon logo off. I think the fish tape's going to work really good, or the fish string's going to work really good on that. Then I'm going to take the vehicle, wash it, and we're going to try and remove what's left of the tape, and then we're going to buff and wax it like I said. So what a pain in the ass for the little bit that I'm going to be getting, and I still need to do it to the other door. So what do you say we continue on and we try to get this Yukon logo off. Well guys, as you've seen, the Yukon logo was pretty easy to remove with the fish string, and I did forget to mention there was standing water in here as well as mud, and there was dirt on top of this one right here, and it's actually pretty exhausting. As you can see, it makes quite a mess. My arms are already tired and I barely got started, and my buddy there is also worn out. This is quite a bit of work for him too. So what do you say we get this thing driven over to the wash station over there, we get this thing all washed off, and we'll see how easy that tape comes off. Trying to help out, huh? You trying to help out? Well, there we go. With it all washed off, all I used was a microfiber and some dish soap, and got it cleaned pretty good. That stuff was pretty stuck on there, but me and my buddy are going to take a little bit of break while that dries, and then we'll be back out here to try and wheel it off with that rubber wheel. Well, rednecks, needless to say, that has had plenty of time to dry because it is the next day. I ended up going out with my buddy, and we ended up going to buy a parts avalanche, as well as my little buddy back here wasn't doing so good. So I decided to take a little break from this, but we're back. I got the wheel on the drill down here. We're going to see how much or how hard it is to take all of that existing tape off, as well as the tape on the Yukon logo. So yeah, let's get started with this mess. Alright, for the sake of my sanity and yours, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to try and buff this area where the Yukon logo is, and I'm going to try and buff the area down here where the cladding was covering, and I'm going to make sure it don't look like there's any like damage or any kind of obvious signs where this cladding was. And then I'm going to replace this door and repeat the process. And I don't care to do this whole door right now, obviously. As you can see, it's going to take a little bit of time, and I want to take that time on the door that I actually want to use. So what do you say we get some buffing compound out and we try to buff this thing out? Man, oh man, rednecks, with this vehicle in the sunlight, it is really obvious something's going on here. I don't know how well I'll be able to catch it on camera, but there is like a milky outline where I'm guessing the water that was sloshing around in here kind of took and destroyed the clear coat a little bit. So I'm gonna go grab my buffer wheel and see if we can't buff that out. Well, there we go, rednecks. As you can see, I can buff out that milkiness, but for some reason there is a deformed or a defective paint spot right there as well. So all I gotta do is hope that on the other door it's not in a similar spot, because that would really suck. But yeah, that looks a lot better now that it's buffed. So what do you say we get this thing over there, get this door off, get the other one on, and start the process all over again? Well, rednecks, now that this thing's sitting in the shade, it looks almost like I burnt through the paint with the buffing compound. So maybe what I'll have to do is start a little bit lighter on the next one. Worst case scenario, this doesn't work out and I screw up another door, and then I'm going to be faced with finding 2 Yukon doors for this thing, because apparently you can't remove the cladding off of them without tons and tons of problems. So let's just hope the next one goes without a flaw. So what do you say we get started by pulling the inner door panel off, pulling this mirror off, pulling the wiring out, and we'll get this door off. Well, there you go. Pretty easy to do, just like the back door. You have a screw here and a screw here in your hinge, and then one right here for your door popper or door limiting strap. And then you have 4 plug-ins. 2 right here that go into that junction block, and then you got 2 more right here that are behind this kicker panel. So with that door off, now I have the daunting task of lifting that one all the way over here and getting it installed on the Yukon. Well, rednecks, off camera, I got the complete door all back assembled. I did have to replace the wiring harness in it because the other door, or this door, did not have heated seats in it. So I had to take all the wiring out of my other door, put it in this one, put this thing all back together, and as you can see, I have the panel all on, everything on, as well as the mirror, so, and the outside door handle, I replaced that, so. But anyways, I'm not going to bore you guys with any more chat. I'm going to go ahead and try and remove this trim piece and remove them logos. I'm not going to do it right now. My buddy's actually been inside for a little bit not feeling good, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time with him. And then I'll come out here and you'll see me in a, for you guys it'll be a few seconds, but for me it could be a day, could be I don't know how long, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen here and scared at the same time. So we'll see coming up here in a second. See you then. Well, rednecks, apparently I had the worst door, or the worst molding that you could ask for on one of these vehicles, because this one completely pulled off in one piece. And I gotta say, it was a pleasant surprise, because the other one breaking up into little chunks and then having to try and get it off like that is a pain in the butt. So I don't know what's different. This is technically the same year door, same make, same model, same everything, but for some reason this one came off in one piece and the other one came off in little tiny bits. So I'm happy. I was quite surprised. I'm glad that we're at least this far, because this is a rust-free door. They're hard to find and I really don't want to screw this one up. So I guess it's over to the wash station right now, get this all washed off, and then I can try and get off all the tape and everything and get off that tape right there. And then we're going to buff and wax it. So man, am I happy. So is this guy. Look at him. Super chill. Yeah. Well, Rednecks, unfortunately it is the next day, and I don't remember where I left off. Obviously, this is not a 3-day endeavor, but my buddy was feeling good, so I took him to the beach to go swimming. Unfortunately, he's pretty tired right now. It whooped him out pretty good. With that being said, if any of you guys have pets at home, hopefully you'll spend some good quality time with them after this video, but as you can see, back to the project, I have a little bit of work done here. I tried some Yukon right here to see what that does, and it did make this a little bit softer, not enough to matter, and I let it set for quite a while, and on the Yukon logo, it did absolutely nothing. But I messed around with the eraser wheel down there quite a bit, and I came up with a pretty good way of making this work, and as you can see, it doesn't make nearly the mess that the other way I was doing it did. So let me get the camera set up, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So right here, I want to show you my theory, and that is if you take your thumb and you kind of roll this stuff, you can roll it off and it comes off. Now, with the eraser wheel, what I was doing before is I was just hitting it with a bunch of speed and trying to rip this stuff off. But what I've learned is I want to get it going in the rotation, so I want it to rotate into the sticker, or into the tape, and I want to put good pressure on it and just kind of go really slow. And I turn the eraser wheel into my thumb. And I just kind of go up and down, keeping good pressure. And there you go. As you can see, way cleaner. And I'm not wearing my eraser wheel out like I was when I was hitting it really fast. Shit was just flying everywhere. And yeah, it gets it all. And it doesn't even get the surface hot. The way I was doing it before was not good for these stickers. So let me get the wheel going and we'll get the rest of this off. With the lower portion all done, I want to move on to the Yukon logo, and unfortunately this thing's a mess. I'm going to show you on the N, on the letter N here, I soaked it in that goof off, and I kind of patted it with my finger to try and let it really soak into that tape pretty good. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to start over here and work my way that way using the same method I was using down here, and we'll see once we get to the N if it gets any better. So yeah, let's get the drill and try and get the Yukon off of this thing. Well, there we go. As you've seen, the Yukon really didn't do a whole lot. If anything, it kind of gummed up a little bit better and hung on to the wheel. But the real MVP here is that drill. That thing is on fire. That thing has definitely had a workout, but now it's time to buff this thing. So let me get my buffing wheel set up, and we're going to start with a light compound with my lighter cutting wheel, because last time I went with a really aggressive wheel, and luckily on this door there isn't that milky color. So all I'm trying to get rid of is that striping right there from kind of dirt and grime being around that cladding that was on here. So let me get that set up and we'll buff this thing and see how it turns out. Man, oh man, Rednecks, that turned out good. As you can see, I had to use my little plastic scraper right down there to scrape off some of the remaining glue on the Yukon. I use it a little bit up there, so maybe some of them plastic razor blades would work pretty good, or you might want to get some of them. But all in all, I am happy with how this turned out. I do, on the passenger side, still need to remove that piece and the whole driver side, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that. Hopefully it's nothing like the other door. Hopefully it all comes off like this, but either way, my buddy's inside. I want to spend some more time with him, so I'm going to end the video here. I won't bore you with anything else. If you got pets, spend some time with them, man. Life goes fast, and so does theirs. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and get back to work. How you doing, buddy, huh? How you doing? Hey, buddy, how you doing, huh? Good boy, you being a good boy? Yeah. Hey, what are you doing, huh? What are you doing? Getting old's no fun, no. How you doing, buddy? Mwah. Love you.